Good evening, everyone. How are you? My pleasure to be with you. Right. Please, if you can hear me, just write on the chat, write one. If you can hear me very well. Okay, so please try to make sure that you are on mute. Mute your voice, please. Thank you so much. So please feel free to type or to write down your questions on the chat, and we'll get back to the questions once we finalize the webinar. I believe here we have, okay. So we're gonna get started, save your time. Hello, my pleasure being with you. My name is Syed Ante. I'm EQ or Emotional Intelligence Certified Practitioner and a consultant as well. I've been in training since 2004. My pleasure to be with you for a 1-hour webinar about a very significant topic, which is emotional intelligence. Actually, these are some of my certifications as a facilitator and as a trainer as well. I'm an ATD master trainer. I'm actually certified in EQ, EQ certified from EQ2, and these are some of my certifications here. Actually, this program was conducted before 4 of flagships companies in Saudi Arabia. As you can see there, it was produced or conducted for like 4 times for Pupa and 2 couple of times for STC and 3 times for mobile people and 3 times for Sabic as well. This is Bob, and Bob actually is a hard worker, but he has an issue. He has a problem. He doesn't feel comfortable with public speaking at all. And one day he was in a large meeting with his managers, and his manager asked him, Bob, can you come and report our meeting, our people, our managers? What conclusions have you come to? So actually, Bob was really not comfortable. He started to feel anxious, worried, and his emotions reflected by a physical response, which is what his hands were sweated, and actually his heart was racing, and everything was not going well with him. So far, based on this incident or the situation, he couldn't seize the opportunity to show his experience, his value to his managers. That's why he lost the opportunity. This situation might happen to some of us, might happen to a lot of people. What was the problem actually? The problem actually that Bob was not under control, couldn't control his emotions. And when he couldn't control his emotions, he couldn't control his behavior. And what would be the result? He lost an opportunity because he thought this opportunity was a threatening environment for him. He couldn't seize it at all. All of us, we are like birds. We have 2 wings. You cannot see at all a bird is flying with only 1 wing. We like people, we like birds. We have a wing which is for our behavior skills, another wing for our technical skills. For what do you mean by technical skills here? It's the way, the skill you need technically to do your job. If you are a programmer, so you need some technical knowledge, technical skills, how to program, you need to be familiar, aware of the programming language and so on. If you are an accountant, so you need to be able to master the accounting skills. But how about the behavior skills? The behavior skills are what we call the soft skills, which is the way how can you communicate with people? How can you manage your emotions? How can you influence others? How can you lead others? So actually, we might see some people who have a stronger technical skills, but they have a weaker soft skills. Those people usually are not doing well at work. There's lots of complaints about them. So why is it significant? And then what are the 5 main components of EQ competences? What are the 4 main skills of emotional intelligence? Then how to be CEIP certified, how to be emotionally certified, emotionally intelligent professional. What's the track? How to be certified? And then how can you hone? How can you enhance? How can you improve your skills of emotional intelligence? That's what we're gonna cover today within this webinar. So once again, I'd like to remind you, please, if you have any questions relating to emotional intelligence, please feel free to post it, to write it down in the chat box. So I'm going to start with you now. What is emotional intelligence? Why is it first? Why is emotional intelligence? Do you think is it important, not important? Is it like a story? Is it like a theory, which is not practical, which you cannot see on the ground, or what else? So I'm going to start with you now here with poll number 1. So please, you're going to see a question or a poll on the screen, and please just select your response. How do you see it? This poll number 1, Dr. Mahmoud, please can you publish poll number 1? Dr. Mahmoud? Okay, so is it really important or not? So first of all, we're going to start with what statistics say about, what researchers say, what statistics say about emotional intelligence. So if you have a look at this screen here and you look at this percentage on the left of the screen.
Yes, I already launched the.
I don't see it.
Dr. Said.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't see it on my screen. Okay. So Mahmoud? Hello? Can I move forward? Okay, anyway.
I shared already the result.
Okay, actually don't see it on my screen. I cannot see it on my screen.
Okay. For another participant, you are looking for or you are seeing the result of the polling? Please answer in the chat yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can I move forward?
Yes, you can move. Yes.
Okay. Right. What statistics, what research say about emotional intelligence? Okay, actually 90%, according to statistics, that 90% of top performance in businesses who has done the emotional intelligence assessment, 90% of them are top performers. So we can say that 90% of the top performers in businesses and organizations are people who are highly emotional people. If you look at the percentage of 58% of your EQ score is responsible for your job performance. So whether you're doing well at work or not. So if you look at the people who are highly emotional people, actually those people are higher in their income, like $29,000 per year. What does it mean here, actually? It means that emotional intelligence is a key skill at work. Because I'm with you today just to show you why is it important, what is it exactly, and how can we hone our skills regarding emotional intelligence. So if you look at these statistics, it says that emotional intelligence is factor number 1 in your job performance. It's the key factor in your job performance. Daniel Goleman, who the guru, the father of emotional intelligence, said that 80% of your success at work in life comes from emotional intelligence. 80% of your success, I mean organization success, business success, life success, highly comes from emotional intelligence. Even Harvard Business Review, it said emotional intelligence is a key leadership skill. It's one of the significant skills required for leaders to manage people, to lead people. So if you're going to answer, how did emotional intelligence start? I mean, let's have a look at the history. Actually, emotional intelligence, it started in 1950s. So it's a long time ago. In 1950s here, when you have heard about Abraham Maslow, when Abraham Maslow described how people can build emotional intelligence. And if you've been to Abraham Maslow pyramid, which is a psychological needs pyramid, and we said that in order, we need to build people emotional strength. And he needs something called the people psychological safety. If people lose the psychological safety at work, they're not going to work well. They're not going to do well. They will be demotivated. They're not going to be productive. When we came from 1950 to 1975, Howard Gardner came with the theory of multiple intelligence and said that, for example, what counts for people is not the mathematical intelligence. It's their emotional intelligence, and he called 8 of emotional intelligence that people have. And one of them, he called something called the social intelligence, how to be socially related, connected with people around you. So when we come to 1990s, this is the first time in history that Peter Salfoy and John Mayer named something called emotional intelligence. It was the first time to be named like this one, emotional intelligence. And we come to Daniel Goleman, and this is a revolution of emotional intelligence in the world. Daniel Goleman wrote his first book, Emotional Intelligence, What Can Matter More Than Your IQ? So this history started from 1950s to 1995. So it's a long time, actually. If we look at let's have a look at our plane from inside. Actually, we have 2 planes inside. We have a plane that thinks, which is for our rational thinking, and we call it here the neocortex. And the neocortex is the part of our brain that's really responsible for our rational thinking, the thing about facts and so on. And we have here another type of the brain is called amygdala, and amygdala here is the brain that thinks. So actually, let me summarize. We have 2 kinds of brains: the brain that thinks and the brain that feels. An issue actually, when we have coming from outside, from external event, usually this event affects your amygdala, the part of the feeling goes to the rational thinking. That's of external events. Usually, we might see ourselves automatically react without thinking sometimes. And sometimes you blame yourself, why haven't I done so? Why I have responded this way? So actually, this slide here summarizes we have 2 kinds of brains. The brain, the part of the brain which is for thinking brain, and we have a feeling brain. But actually, if we have any event that comes from outside, usually it goes through the thinking plane before the rational plane. That's why most of people's responses who are not aware, they are actually, they don't have emotional awareness, they might be themselves and lots of challenges. So here is the key question here. What is emotional intelligence? What do you mean by emotional intelligence? How do we define emotional intelligence? Of course, you need to know that. So some of you might say emotional intelligence is about emotions. It's about emotion, it's about or it's something else. Okay, good news here. This meaning of emotional intelligence is not only about emotions. Emotional intelligence, if you're gonna share with me now, it's a set, it's a group of emotional and social skills that influence the way we perceive and express ourselves. So it's not only emotional skills, the way you manage your emotions, it's a social skills. It's something in you, it's something outside you. So it's a set of emotional intelligence, emotional and social skills. What are they doing? Influence the way we perceive ourselves. How would you see ourselves? How do you understand ourselves? It's called self-awareness. And how to develop and maintain social relationships. It comes from understanding yourself first, being aware of yourself first, then second one, developing and maintaining your social relationships. What else? It helps you to cope with the challenges, stress management, and use emotional information in an effective and meaningful way. Let me recap. So actually, if we need to define what is emotional intelligence, we're going to say emotional intelligence is not about being emotionally, but it's being about productive, effective. Effective where? Effective at work, personally, workplace, and everywhere. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean only to be emotional. It means exactly how to be effective, how to be productive, how to be successful. That's why, according to Harvard Business Review and for example, this is number one factor in our business and life success. Emotional intelligence is number one factor in our business and social success. So what can you see there? Actually, what is emotional intelligence? It's a set of emotional and social skills. I know you're asking me. So I'd like to know, what are these emotional skills? What are these social skills? So that's why we come to the second slide here. We call about EQ composites, EQ components, EQ ingredients. So it's not only one skill, it's actually about 5 main skills. That's why EQ composites, according to the EQI model, okay? And this is the EQI model, and if you have a look here, again, we have here 5 main composites, as you can see there. The first one here is called the self-perception, okay? And the second one here is the so-called self-expression, if you go like clockwise now. And the third one here is called interpersonal skills. And the fourth one is called decision-making. And the fifth one is stance management. So we have 5 main composites in emotional intelligence: self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal skills, decision-making, stress management. If you have a look at each main composite, we have sub-composites, we have sub-skills under each one. And the sub-skills will lead you to master the main skill of self-perception. So this means that, for example, these are what do you mean by the social and emotional skills. They are the 5 main composites. Under each composite, we have 5 main ingredients of these sub-skills that lead you to master the main skill. Okay, so that's why we call EQ model, or this model called Paron model. So here we can say that emotional intelligence is not only one key skill. It's not only a story. It's just a framework. There's a framework of emotional intelligence, and this is named as the EQI model, which states that we have 5 main skills there under emotional intelligence. But we have another question here, which is said, okay, could EQ be assessed? Can we test it? Can we assess it or not? So that's why, for example, if you look at someone who's actually walking or looking at you or working with you, is a colleague or coworker, you're gonna say this person is a highly emotional people or low emotional people? Or there's a sort of kind of assessment. Could it be assessed? The answer is yes. If you answer yes, you're right. We can assess emotional intelligence. We can test it. That's why in the world here we have 5 models, 4 main assessments of emotional intelligence. So if you'd like to, I'd like to know my emotional intelligence, and actually I know that because I've done the assessment and even I've done the certification as well. The E-model assessment here, we have 4 main assessments in the world, which is well known worldwide. The first one is called EQI and EQ360. This is one of the models. The other one is called TESI, and the third one is called Mesquite, and the fourth one is the Emotional Intelligence Skills Assessment. So we have here 4 main assessments under emotional intelligence. So I do recommend that if you need to master your emotional intelligence first, you need to be aware of what is emotional intelligence, what are the skills that make up emotional intelligence, and later on you can do the assessment also on where are you in the emotional intelligence skills. Okay, so here's the results of actually once you do one of the assessments like the EQI, and here's a report, and this report you will be submitted like 25 pages about your report in emotional intelligence. How is your emotional intelligence skills going? And it's going to give you here the skill. If you share with me now, if you look at self-perception composites, and here it's going to give you your mark or your grade or how are you doing in this composites. So here, actually, you can assess it, you can test it, you can know where are you exactly in emotional intelligence. So please share this with me. After the webinar, I need now you to scan it using your cell phones. And after the webinar, you can do this free EQ assessment. And what do you mean by EQ? Which is called the Emotional Intelligence Assessment, or EI. So please take a photograph or take a picture using your cell phone's camera. And after the webinar, you can do the assessment if you are interested to know your score and EQ. Right? Later on, you can contact me if you're interested to know more about your score, your report about emotional intelligence. I hope that's right. It's correct. Okay, then here we have another key question. So if you're interested in our certification in EQ, emotionally intelligent certification, what can you do? What the process? So actually, in order to be certified from the American Institute for Quality and Development, and you be certified in our certification. So we have a process. So how to be certified. So the first process here, actually we have our process for stages. And the first step here is called, you start first, you register for the course. And then here it will be conducted and organized by Dr. Mahmoud. And then step 2, you are required to attend actively in our online training. And what do you mean by actively here? I mean sharing, giving presentations, doing the assessment, okay? Attending actively with about at least 70% of the time allocated or allotted for the training. And step 3, after finalizing your attendance, you're gonna take the final exam, and actually here, you're gonna take the final exam, which is MCQ questions, and you will also be required to do an assessment, written assessment, just to qualify you to be certified in emotional intelligence. And step 4 here, you will be receiving and you submitted your certification, which said that. And I would like to say that here, the certification here is not certificate of attendance, it is a certificate of completion. So this means that, for example, you have right to take a certificate of completion on one condition, which is said you have to pass the test with at least 70% of the total mark. Okay, so here, this is the process of how to be certified from the American Institute for Quality and Development. Okay, let's get back again. Please, once again, if you have any question, please feel free to post your questions, to write down your question on the chat box. Okay, so let me get back to you. So we talked about so far, why is it important with statistics? And let me recap it. For example, 90%, according to studies, it said that 90% of top performers in businesses and organizations are highly emotional people. And actually, most of them have done the assessment. And the second one, what is emotional intelligence? And if you allow me to recap it, emotional intelligence is a set of 5 key skills, of emotional skills and of social skills that help us understand ourselves, be aware of ourselves, be aware of our interior power, then aware of others and how to communicate with others and so on. Thank you so much. Let me go further. And here, there's a framework again. And let me, I need you to have a look again. And here, as you can see here, we have 5 main composites of emotional intelligence. It all starts with the self-perception and the self-exhibition, and the interpersonal skills, decision-making, and stress management. If we have a look at this framework, you'll find the 2 main composites, which is all self-perception and self-exhibition. It's inside you. Okay, this is some skills you need to build inside you. Then if starting from interpersonal skills, decision-making skills, stress management, so actually here there's external world, right? So, well, what can you see here? Usually, when you're flying somewhere, and I hope everyone now wishing to fly somewhere, and how you're doing under this crisis, everything's gonna go well soon, inshallah. So, you are now in a passenger flight, and actually you are given some instructions, and these instructions are saying, please, before you help others to put the oxygen mask, please put your oxygen mask first, right? This happens. So instructions are given to you. you yourself, before you help others, you need to help yourself. Before you help others to wear the oxygen mask, to put the oxygen mask, you need to put it for yourself. That's it. So the point here is, it all starts with you. If you need to manage your others, you need to manage yourself. If you need to manage others, you need to manage yourself. You cannot help others unless you can help yourself. You cannot understand others unless you understand yourself. You cannot be aware of others unless you're aware of yourself. So the point is here again, that's why emotional intelligence is all start with self-perception. And what do you mean by self-perception? You're being self-aware about yourself. I have a question now. How much you are aware of yourself? Do you know yourself? Okay, what will be the percentage? How much the percentage you know yourself? Some of you, a person might say, okay, I know yourself. Who else knows myself more than me? So actually there was a study, a research, is done by one of the Stanford University. When she said that, for example, usually the conclusion for this research, which was focusing on how much people know about themselves, the conclusion was 85% of people, they did not know themselves very well. They are not aware of themselves. That's why the core competence, the key skill in emotional intelligence is how to be aware of yourself. So the first composite out of the 5, which is self-perception. And what self-perception? It actually answers the questions, who you are. Who you are. And if you look at self-perception here, which is the main composite, it's actually divided into 3 main composites, 3 main skills, or 3 sub-skills. The first one is called here the self-regard. And the second one is called the self-actualization. And the third one is called the emotional self-awareness. And remember, all this inside you. It tells you who you are. What do you mean by self-regard, self-actualization, emotional self-awareness? Actually, I'd like to tell you something. Emotional intelligence, our course doesn't help you only to know what do these sub-skills mean, but also here, how can you build the skills for each one of them? How can you build the skill of your self-regard? How can you build your skill in self-actualization? How do you build yourself in emotional self-awareness? So what do you mean by self-regard? What is self-regard? So self-regard here, it's how good you feel about yourself. How good you feel about yourself. What does it mean how good you feel about yourself? I mean here, in order to feel good about yourself, you have to know who you are. You have to identify what are your strength points and what are your weakness points. And then here, you need to appreciate your strength points and you need to accept your weakness points. So the first one is called self-regard. What exactly mean again? How good you feel about yourself. Self-respect or self-esteem is another thing. So I know some of you might ask, so what is the difference between self-regard and self-esteem? Self-regard is how good you feel about yourself, but self-esteem is called your self-respect. So the first point here under self-perception, which is answered who you are, remember Aristotle, he used to say, the first thing to being wise means you have to know yourself very well, is what Aristotle said. Okay, and again, being wise means you have to understand yourself, to be aware of yourself very well. So the first one is self-regard. The second one is self-actualization. And what do we mean by self-actualization here? So doing the best you can possibly do. It means you have goals, you have objectives, and you work to achieve to meet these objectives, and you have to self-motivate yourself. Motivate yourself, self-motivation. And usually there's a key skill actually and a key component in businesses. Well, usually most of you, all of you are working in businesses, and millions of dollars are being spent in organizations in order to motivate people, to raise their performance, to help them motivate and so on. But what if this person has a self-motivation inside him? It's gonna help companies save lots of money. So your self-actualization is a main component in business as well. And then we move to the third one, which is called here emotional self-awareness. And what do we mean by emotional self-awareness here is what are you feeling and why you are feeling that way? What does it mean by this one? What are you feeling mean what? What are the emotions inside you? Can you name your emotions? How many emotions can you name? So usually people might name like 20, 30, and so on. But do you know that? So we have now words, something called the Dictionary of Emotions, which contains now like 110 different emotions, which they are running inside our bodies and we are not aware of it. And remember, anything in life you are not aware of, you cannot manage. That's why if you are not aware of the emotions inside you, you cannot manage them. So they will be managing you. And that's why we call it emotional intelligence. We call it emotional hijacking. I mean, you will be hijacked. You will be now hijacked by your emotions. So emotional self-awareness means here, what are you feeling and why are you feeling this way? Why are you feeling this way at this time? Okay? So this is important to be aware of your emotions. So this is the part, what we call it self-perception. So as you can, perception mean your self-regard, your self-actualization, and your emotional self-awareness. Again, our course doesn't tell you what do these words mean, what do these skills mean, what does this composite mean, but tells you, again, tells you to build them. So that's why doing this assessment here, you might be doing well in some of the skills, you might not be doing on others. What you're gonna do, you need to build it. Because we have got news actually about EI, emotional intelligence. If you are not aware, if you are not that high in emotional intelligence, if your score is not that high in emotional intelligence, we have got news which said you can build, you can develop, you can enhance your emotional intelligence skills. I mean the 15 skills we have covered before, which is relative from your IQ. And the IQ here, whatever your IQ is, you cannot manage it. It's there, it's fixed, right? But our emotional intelligence skills can be built, can be organized, can be developed, can be enhanced, and so on. So here, let's go. Where are we now? We are in self-perception, and this is inside you. So this is for you now. Imagine someone in your business, in your, let's say, in your organization, or someone around you now, who has a low self-regard. I need now to imagine this person in front of you now. How would you see him behaving? How would you see him working? How would you see him talking with people? How would you see him communicating with people? How would you see him interacting with people? Do you think he's going to do well? Do you think he's going to be productive? Do you think he's going to be confident? Do you think we're going to be independent? So what do you think about, how do you know these people? If a person has a low self-regard, means this is one of the key components of emotional intelligence is low, and this might affect the way he's doing his business. Not only the way he's doing his business, even the way he's managing his life. He's leading his life. So usually people who have low self-regard, how do you recognize them? How to identify them? Usually, if you saw these people most of the time, his inner talk, his internal dialogue saying, I cannot do it. I am not worthy. Nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. I have lots of weaknesses. I don't have a strength point. I must not make a mistake. And this here, most of the time, this person is blaming himself. He's demotivating himself. Usually, the way he thinks here is going to be reflecting on the way he acts, which is the behavior. That's why it's all about comes from your thinking. The way, what does he think about himself? The thing about himself is weakness. He's a weak person. He's not trusty. He's not worthy, and so on. It will be seen. It will be showed. It will be reflected on his behavior, right? So the question is here: why should I care about my self-regard? And remember, self-regard is one of the many skills in emotional intelligence under the first composite, which is called self-perception. Why should I care about my self-regard? And please, just once you know these skills, it's not only for you, but it's for everyone around you, even your kids, even your sisters, even your brothers. Anyone around you is really helpful for them. Why should I care about my self-regard? I'm going to say the question another way. What if my self-regard is low? Do you think that my behavior will be accepted? You think that I'm going to be productive? I'm going to be, a person who is being tested? Usually the answer is said no. Why? Because if self-regard is low or is missing sometimes, it's going to be working against you, even at the workplace, or even in life. People will feel it. Your self-regard, your self-perception, if you come back here, this your self-perception here, what we call it, this is your internal power, your internal magnet. It's your internal power. If your power from inside is strong, usually it will be reflected in your behavior to the outside. If it's the other way, or vice versa, it means it will be noticed by others. So that's why this is the key cornerstone or the key skill under emotional intelligence. I hope you are with me. So here, a lack of self-regard indicates feeling of uncertainty and insecurity. So people who have a low self-regard, usually people, if they are not aware of self-regard, they feel they have a problem inside, but they are not aware of it. That's why they cannot manage it. And again, let me repeat again, anything in life you are not aware of, you cannot manage. If you are not aware of, you cannot manage. If, for example, if you're not aware of what is healthy food and what's unhealthy food, all of you, both of the two types of food, it will be okay for you. But if you're aware of them, okay, it's gonna have a big impact on your health. There's a point there. So here, people who have a lack of self-regard indicates feeling of uncertainty, means uncertain about their power, their effect, their influence, and they have a feeling of insecurity. So do you imagine those people at the workplace? Do you imagine those people working with you? Do you imagine those people around you? How would you see them? Are you gonna trust them? Are you gonna leave them as they are? So there's a point there, okay? So my key question here, how can you build your self-regard? So usually this is gonna be covered a lot in details with lots of strategies, lots of skills, lots of techniques and in our course. In the complete course. But I'm going to help you here. How can you build your self-regard? Actually, in order to build your self-regard, you need to have two components here, two ingredients for self-regard. So number one, you need to be aware of what are your strength points and what are your weaknesses points. What are your strength points and what are your weaknesses points? And number two, else you need to accept your strength points and also to accept your weakness points, to accept yourself as you are now. If you do these components well, it will lead you to your self-confidence. So self-confidence, actually, it's the result of your strength, understanding, being aware of your strength point, weakness points, and your sense of about how to accept it. Okay, otherwise your self-regard will be low. So I have a question for you. Please take like 20 seconds or 30 seconds to write down. If I'm going to ask you now, what are 5 of your strength points? What are 5 of your strength points? Please, if you'd like to hold the pen or just write it down somewhere, that's why. What are 5 of your strength points? Usually, that might be the first time in your life that you are asked this question. But some of you have heard that this question being asked frequently in interviews, right? So here, when an interviewer might ask the applicant, what are your strength points? Most people are not aware or not prepared to answer such questions. But again, in order to have a high self-regard, to understand yourself very well, you need to understand, well, what are my strength points? Usually, thank you so much. Usually what I'm going to do when I asked you to write down your strength point. Some of you just write 1 strength point. Others write 2, others write 3, others write 5. But what if now I'm going to ask you to write 10 of your strength points, or 20 of your strength points, or 30 of your strength points? Usually you're going to stop. Again, it's going to be a halt. It's going to be a halt. Why? Because most people are not aware of your strength points. If you're not aware of your strength points, so how would your self-regard be higher? Or how can you lead others? If you cannot lead yourself, if you're not aware of yourself, how can you lead others? That's why. So my key question, I know now some of you in your brain now, some of you are going to ask, okay, I'd like to know my strength points. How do I know that? I'd like to be aware of my strength points. How do I do that? So actually, in order to know your strength points, we have 3 three stages, 3 steps to know your strength points. We have 3 steps to know your strength points. So the first one here is you. When you say, what are my strength points? Right? You did it. You need to do it again. Number 2 here, you need to ask this question to someone you trust. I mean, someone you trust at home, someone you trust at work, right? And you're gonna sit face to face with other meeting and ask him, what do you think my strength points are? But take care, this is one you trust. Why? Because this person is gonna give you an honest feedback. So it's the call here, the one you trust. So number 1 again, number 1, it's you. How do you see yourself? How do you see your strength in you? Number 2, one of your colleagues or someone you trust. Number 3, which is experts. What do experts say? What do experts say about your strength points? So that's why we have 3 ways to know your strength points. You, someone you trust, expert there. So I'm gonna tell you now how to do this. But here, this is gonna help me to know my strength point. Why? Because my strength point is my internal power. And this internal power here, it will be reflected in your behavior. The way you lead, the way you manage, the way you work, and so on. This is why emotional intelligence is a significant skill at workplace, right? So usually, again, let me recap. So in order to be aware, to identify your strength points, you need to know, again, to do self-evaluation. Ask yourself, what are my strength points? You need to write it down. Number 2, ask someone you trust. And remember, people see something in you you do not see in others. People see something in you you don't see in others. When you ask someone you trust, what do you think my strength points are? Usually people are gonna give you something you are not aware that's inside you, that's in you. So please write it down and compare it with the strength points you did with yourself, and you will see the difference. The third one there, you need to ask expert. I wrote my expert here. You have to do an assessment in a strength point. Do you have assessment, international assessment, based on research about strength point, just to let me know what are my strength points? The answer is yes, yes, there is. I'm gonna share with you my report about strength points. I have done a strength assessment with Gallup, and here this is a report, and this is the name of the company. It's called Crafton Strength. I'm sure that some of you know this company. And here's my name. It's called giving you a report called a Strength Insight Report, and say, Syed, these are your strength points. And they have shown me a list of my top themes or my top 5 strength points. Okay, and actually, this is not the end of the story. They're gonna give you this report like 6 pages, and each page here is analyzing, describing what do you mean by this, the strength points, and when are you doing it, and how can you maximize it? This is very important, right? So being aware now again of your strength points is going to help you to manage yourself well. It's going to help you to be more productive, more effective, more, influencing people in a better way. So let me get back in. How to build your self-regard, to know your strength point and weakness point. And I think I've answered this question for you. How do you know your strength points? Again, strength points again. It's something you're doing well. So you need to do self-evaluation, ask yourself, ask someone you trust, and third one here, ask the experts, right? And by the way, after the webinar, I'm gonna share with you a free assessment as well in order to help you recognizing and finding your strength point. I have a question. Okay, I know my strength points and my weakness points. Which of these you need to work on? Which of these you need to develop? Which of these you need to enhance? Usually some of you say, okay, we need to work on our weaknesses points. What do experts say? Experts say that if you have strength points and all of us have weaknesses points, so what do you do? Accept your weakness points, but to work more, develop your strength points. So the one that deserves to be worked on is strength points. Why? Any strength points you have there, you are doing it like 50%, 60%. If you're gonna enhance it, develop it, what might happen? You're gonna make it from practicing it like 60%, you can make it up to 90% or 80%, which is totally high. But any points of weaknesses, you are doing it like 50 or 40%. Whatever you do, you're gonna get to the average, like 50%, 60%. which is not a competitive advantage for you. So that's why here I recommend, like other consultants or like experts say, please, number one, explore your strength points and then work on them, invest on them. It's really important. This is really the difference between successful people, effective people, and ineffective people. Successful people and the unsuccessful people. People who are aware and people who are not aware, right? So the very important here, how to build your self-regard. You need to work on your strength points, find them, explore them, and I give you the tool, and accept your weaknesses. Once you do this, you come to your self-confidence will be up. Imagine someone at workplace, someone you know who is a high self-confidence. How do you see him acting? How do you see him behaving? How do leaders, managers looking at him? And you know the difference there. You have the tool, and you have to work on it in order to maximize your internal power. Okay, so here, actually, we are done now with the first composite. Let me recap with you. In the emotional intelligence and emotional intelligence, we have 5 key composites. The first one is self-perception, right? And we are done with it. Actually, I'm going through each one, just to let you know what's in the complete course. Actually, we are tackling each skill and working on techniques, working on strategies to help you leverage this skill. And it will be for you on, this will be reflected on the way you work, even it's a life skill and it's a key skill as well. The second point under this here, get back again to, sorry, here, this is the model. We're gonna now move to the self-expression. And what do we mean by self-expression? And the self-expression here, which mean here, we have under self-expression 3 key sub-skills, which is called emotional expression, assertiveness, being assertive, and being independent. Okay, what do you mean by emotional expression? What do you mean by assertiveness? And what do you mean by independence? If you look here about the emotional expression, which is being aware of how to express your emotions verbally and non-verbally. Are you aware of how to express your emotions? Did happen to you before when you were in a meeting and someone's asking you, everything is okay? You're gonna say, yeah, everything is okay. But he might say to you, reply back to you, I feel it's not okay. Because something reflected in you, okay? How can you manage your emotions? How to be aware of how to express your emotions verbally and non-verbally. And what do you mean by verbally? Was talking, using words, okay? Your emotions, your thinking, your emotions are reflected to words. And then non-verbally, which is using the body language. Are you aware of it or not? So emotional expression here, being aware of how to express your emotions verbally and non-verbally. Emotional intelligence courses, emotional intelligence techniques help you to raise the standard, to develop these skills. How to be okay. I'm gonna tell you, for example, under emotional expression, please do it even for today. Please write down this formula, which is this. I feel what? Because. So please write down this formula again. I'm going to say, I feel what? So after the feel plus, we have the emotion you're experiencing because. If you do this today, you're going to see a big difference in the way you live, in the way you work. It's called self-expression again. So again, let me recap, please, if you don't mind, you can write it down. This is a great formula. It's a really helpful formula. So you're going to say, I feel because. You're going to say, I feel relaxed because. I feel happy because it happened. I feel scared because it happened. Once you write down your emotions, you're gonna put them or just bring them to the surface, meaning you are aware of what's happening inside you. If you want to understand what are the emotions inside you, okay, in order to control them, in order to manage them. Remember again, for the third time saying, anything in your life, if you are not aware of it, you manage. That's why here today we need to be more aware of our emotions. Why? What do you mean by emotions exactly? Emotions means, emotions actually, it's an English word, it came from a Latin word, which is called emotion, is a word of 2 parts, which is called E and motion. And most of you, if you look about the word motion, what does it mean in English? Motion means movement. So motion means that it's something that helps us move. It's something that helps us do something. It's called emotion. What if inside you like Bob, the story I told you before we start? If you have negative emotion inside you, what do you think your behavior will be? Of course, it will be negative behavior. If you have positive emotion, what do you think your behavior will be? Positive emotion. My question is, can we manage our emotions or not? The answer is that if you do well, if you understand, if you practice the techniques of emotional intelligence, you can manage your emotions well. If you can your emotions, you can manage yourself. You can manage yourself. You can manage others easily. Okay. Emotional expression means this is being aware of how to express your emotions, verbally and non-verbally. Then we come to being assertive. And what do you mean by being assertive here? How to make your voice heard. Being assertive. How to make your voice heard. Are you working at a company where there's no one or few people just listen to you, or you make your voice unheard? People are assertive here. They make the voice heard. We're going to give you techniques to do this. But actually here, I need to differentiate between being assertive, passive, and aggressive. Okay? Assertive people are more productive people, but passive people are not productive. Aggressive people, like aggressive managers sometimes, they're actually not preferred by the people who are working with them. Okay? Then independence. Independence here actually means doing something on your own. So let's have a look here at this triangle for assertiveness. How to be assertive? Actually, this is just overview of this triangle, but in the course we're dealing with techniques such as to help you raising your standard or your level of assertive, being assertive. Expressing your feeling. You need to know how to express your feeling. And by the way, expressing the feeling is one of the main challenges, main problems have in the workplace. If you have the place where people do not express their true feelings, it might lead, as you know, to workplace issues, workplace problems, and this will reflect on their productivity. So expressing feeling is one of the key components of assertiveness. Expressing your thoughts and beliefs and standing up for yourself means defending your opinion, defending your voice, and so on, is being assertive as well. Let's get back again. Self-expression means emotional expression, assertiveness, independence. What do you mean independence here? Make your own decisions. So sometimes you need to work on your own, not relying too much on others. Relying too much, I mean here, let's say too much. You can rely on others working on teamwork and so on. But again, sometimes you need to make your own decision. In order to make your own decision, this is called independence. It's under self-perception and emotional intelligence. So let me recap where we are now. So far, we have covered two main skills in the framework of emotional intelligence. If you can remember with me, the first one is called self-perception, and the second one is called self-expression. And remember, each one of them has 3 key skills under, and each one has strategies, techniques, and that help you build your own skills. But I have a question before we move to the third composite, which says, what if you have a person, you have people in your business who like these skills, like the skills for self-perception, like the skills for self-expression? Do you think that those people will be working well? Do you think those people will be productive? Do you think there will be problems those people are causing or not? I am sure most of you are answering yes. Usually, if people are not aware of themselves, not aware of their skills, there are going to be lots of issues here. Then we move to interpersonal composite. There's a third composite in the framework of emotional intelligence, which is made up of 5 composites. The interpersonal composite here, now we are moving to other outside. Let me recap. The two previous composites, which is here self-expression and emotional self-expression as well, self-perception and emotional self-expression, they were inside you. This was your internal world. Or we call it, you were building your internal power, your internal magnet, okay? That's what makes people are really affected by you, are hearing you, are following you, are guided by you, are led by you, okay? So how about the interpersonal composites? Interpersonal composite is made up of 3 key skills, the components. The first one is called interpersonal relationship, is your relationship with the people, your empathy level, and your social responsibility. And interpersonal relationship means caring about and trusting others. By the way, if you don't care about yourself, if you are not caring about yourself, if you are not trusting yourself, you are not trusting others. If you don't care about yourself, you don't care about others. So this is why emotional intelligence starts with self-perception. You need to manage yourself. You need to take care about yourself. You need to know, identify your strength points. You need to trust yourself before you move to the world. It's called caring about and trusting others. And of course, the emotion to help us to build these skills. How empathy? What do you mean by empathy here? Empathy means understanding and respecting others' perspective. Not only your own perspective, not only the way you see your life, which is your favorite color, because each one of us see his life using your favorite color, your own perspective, but understanding other people's perspective. We call it, for example, reading people. You have the ability here to read people as they are. You need to listen to people. It's called empathy. You need to, sometimes you say, sometimes you need to put yourself in people's shoes. Imagine a workplace where the empathy in this workplace is low. How would you see people behaving? How would you see people working? When you work in a place, and I'm sure that you have worked in a place, and I've worked in a place where people do not feel each other, where managers do not feel empathy with their workers, with their employees. When employees do not feel empathy with others, how do you think the productivity level would be? How do you think work would be? How do you think the environment, the working environment would be? Would there be a problem or not? So the empathy is really important. And then we move to the third one, is called social responsibility. And social responsibility here, being helpful to others. And what do you mean by others? Your team, your organization, your community. What should you do in order to help others? What should you do in order to support others? What should you do in order to influence others and so on? So this makes actually the composite of interpersonal composite under the framework of EQ or emotional intelligence. Okay, so far we have covered three main composites, if you'd like to cover with me, under the framework of emotional intelligence. So number one is, okay, good, self-perception. Number two is self-expression. The third one is interpersonal skills. What about the fourth one? So the fourth one is here, the decision-making composite in the framework of EQ and emotional intelligence as well. The decision-making. Is emotional intelligence, your emotions, are they related to your decision-making skills? Are they related to your emotions? Do emotions impact your relationship, your let's say, decision-making skill or not? Right? And you need to remember Challenger, the shuttle, the American shuttle Challenger. You remember the disaster which happened in the 1980s, I think. One problem, this disaster happened because of a problem or improper decision making. Actually, happened with one of the leaders. You can get back to Wikipedia, son. What actually happened there? The emotions actually controlled one of the decision makers. The person was responsible for, launching the shuttle, and based on the quick decision he has taken, it cost them the lives of 6 or 7 astronauts, who were the best astronaut in the American space program. So what's the problem here? Decision making. The decision making composite is important as well. It affects how people take decisions. So we are here under decision making. Someone might say here, how it's the decision making here under the composite of EQI. And under decision-making composite, we have 3 subscales, which is called impulse control, reality testing, and problem solving. And what is impulse control? You know the word impulse, usually you hear the impulses from your body, but impulse control means, for example, your automatic reactions. Usually, most of us, if you're not aware of your reaction, so all of us are, actually, we are activating our autopilot. Our autopilot means that you automatically respond. Whatever something happened to you, which is an external event happened to you, you take automatic responses. Usually, why? Remember, I told you before, so we have two planes inside us. We have the rational plane and the feeling plane. A plane that feels and a plane that thinks. Usually when you have here, let's say, a sudden a triggering action that's happening from inside. Okay, like what? Remember the story of Bob? I told you before we start today. Bob actually everything was going well, life was relaxing as well, and all of a sudden his manager asked him, Bob, can you report back? Can you give a report, give a presentation to our team to let them know about what are your reports and what are your results? What happened to Bob here? Actually, he was his heart was racing and his hand was sweat and he didn't feel okay. The triggering action that happened from inside, actually, what it affects Bob. Affects Bob in what? Affects Bob in the way he does automatic reaction, and it reflected on he didn't take this opportunity to do well. So this is our impulsive control again. What do you mean by it? It's your ability to delay your impulse or temptation to act, and it's less of self-control. So most people actually are doing it. They lose control over themselves. I mean here, this is why here impulsive control. Emotional intelligence teaches you how to build your impulsive control, how to actually to maximize your self-control. And then reality testing. What do I mean by reality testing here? Reality testing means your capacity to see things objectively, not subjectively, the way things they are. Not most of us are seeing life with our own color, with our own perception, okay, with our own values. But here, are you seeing things objectively? Because this actually affects your decision-making process. And then the problem solving here, it's your ability to find solutions. How to find solutions to problems, understand how emotions impact decision-making. I have a question here. So does emotions reflect your decision-making or not? Usually, that's yes. It's really important. So managing your emotion is going to help you how to take decisions properly, how to take decisions in the proper way, in the right way. So this is called the decision-making process. So decision-making process is called impulse control, reality testing, and problem solving. We're going to move to poll 2, and please, you will see a poll on your screen, and please respond to it. Dr. Mahmoud? Dr. Mahmoud?
Yes, doctor, I already started the poll.
Okay.
I already started the poll. Now,
yeah.
Let's take.
Because I don't see it on my screen.
No, it is already working, but it's working now. I am received now voting now.
Okay, can you read it for me?
We will keep around another 20 seconds so that we all can participate.
Yeah, okay. What does it say? It says here, what do you mean by impulse control, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The questions about impulse control means the ability to seeing things objectively, find solution to problems, delay your automatic reactions, to adapt.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we have a good result here. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Good. Okay. So far, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen,
we can end the polling now.
Yes, please. Okay.
Yes, we have majority. The majority is talking about delaying your automatic reactions around 56%. I will share the result now.
Yes, please share the results.
Yes, 56% is answering that delay your automatic reaction.
Nice. Thank you so much. You're doing well. Can we go further? Need to go to move further. Well, so far we have covered why emotional intelligence is important and what is emotional intelligence. We talked about the framework of emotional intelligence, and we said that the framework, we have 5 main composites. If you can recall with me, the first main composite is start with yourself, which is called the self-perception, then self-expression, then interpersonal skills, right? Then decision-making. You are doing well. Thank you so much. What about the 4th one? It's called the stress management composite. And this is in the framework of emotional intelligence as well, a stress management composite. And understanding your emotions actually help you to understand, to manage your stress. The question is here, can we delete our stress or can we manage it? So the answer is no, we cannot delete our stress because we can manage our stress easily. If you understand this one, stress management means here you need 3 sub-skills: your flexibility, your stress tolerance, and your optimism. And what I mean by flexibility as a sub-skill under stress management, under the emotional intelligence framework. And flexibility here is being able to adapt to unpredictable and unfamiliar circumstances, or you have to have a flexible mindset. What does it mean? Usually, you know what's actually happening these days, the coronavirus, and what it made for people? Billions of people are staying home. Some of these people, or let's say lots of these people, feel frustrated, fear, scared, insecure, and so on. But some of them, or let's say the other part of the people, they knew how to, they tried to manage their time, to manage their emotions for their own sake. The point is the difference between those people, this kind of people, and the other kind of people is the way those people are flexible. They have a flexible mindset. It's not the end of life. But you have to do something in order to maximize your power, to maximize your talent, to maximize your skills, right? You know, millions of people, okay, just watching TV, wasting time. Others, what they're gonna do, okay, you know, they have flexible time, they are studying, they're learning something, they are taking courses, they are developing their skills, they understand themselves very well, they're getting, know, with their families and so on. This is a point here, how flexible you are. So being flexibility is really important under stress management because the more flexible you are, the less stress you have, the less stress you experience. So flexibility is really important. And again, in our course, emotional intelligence, it really affects here how to manage your stress. Okay, and then move to stress tolerance. And what do you mean by stress tolerance here? It's your ability to manage stressful situations by actively and positively coping with the stress. How to cope with the stress actively. Do we have skills? Do we have a strategy to do this? Yes, it's called stress tolerance. And then we move to the optimism. And the optimism here is the ability to look at the brighter side of life. And by the way, this is one of the main components, one of the main factors in business success. Usually the ability to look at the brighter side of life to maintain a positive attitude in difficult situations. How is your attitude now? How is your attitude in this time? How is your attitude when you stay home longer? When you stay home most of the time? Usually some people say I'm not in a positive attitude because they don't know what's going on and so on. Other people are gonna look at another way. They say, for example, okay, I can make use of my time. I can, let's say, enhance my skills. I can learn something new. I can do something better and so on. Remember, the way you think here, we have something called the circle of life. And the circle of life, for example, we have thoughts, we have emotions, and we have behavior. Thoughts, emotions, behavior. The way you think, it affects the way you feel, and the way you feel affects the way you behave. So it's all start with your thinking. Okay. For example, if you think like Bob, the person I mentioned at the beginning of today's webinar, they say if Bob think that when his manager asked him to give a report, to give a presentation, if he took it this way, thinking his way was positive, say, okay, there's a good opportunity to show up. There's a good opportunity to let people know who am I, right? Usually his emotions will be positive, then his behavior will be positive. But what actually happened is Bob took it the other way, which is a negative way. He has negative thinking, which is self-example. Oh, yeah, this is a very difficult time. I cannot do it. I am not worthy. I'm not a person who doesn't feel comfortable in public speaking. This thinking actually lead them to what? To negative emotions. What were the emotions inside Bob at this time? Actually, the emotions were fear, scared, and these emotions reflected to be physical responses, behavior. How do people see Bob? See him sweating, his hand was sweating, his heart actually races, he doesn't feel comfortable, usually he's not going to do well, right? This actually affects his image in the business. So it's called the optimism and then stress management there. So let me recap. So actually, this is the framework of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, again, it's not only being emotional. It's not about being emotional, but emotional intelligence means how to be more effective, more productive at the workplace and in life. So now I came to the end of the our webinar, our meeting. So I'm gonna now, before we move to this part, let me recap what have we done today. So today we actually started with why emotional intelligence, and I said again, why emotional intelligence? What is emotional intelligence? And let me recap, emotional intelligence is not only one skill, it's 5 main skills. Under these 5 main skills, we have other sub skills, which is a framework, okay? And then we talk about here each sub skill, what does it mean? Then in the full course or the complete course, we are actually covering these skills and the strategies that help you to manage or to raise your standard or to leverage your skill emotional intelligence. We have answered a good question. Can emotional intelligence be assessed? Be tested or not? Yes, it could be tested. I'm going to share with you a link. You can do a free assessment. If you're interested, you can do an assessment-based assessment. But in brief, in one word, emotional intelligence teaches you how to be more productive and more effective in the workplace and in life as well. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you today. Just let you know what is emotional intelligence and how it's significant in the workplace. Okay, here's my contact number. You can feel free to contact me anytime. And by the way, here's the American Institute for Quality Development. This is the email, and this is the website again. If you'd like to, browse, browse into the website just to have a look and go over the courses and the training services offered and conducted by the American Institute. Thank you so much, and please feel free to post your questions on the chat box. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Said, for your informative webinar, and we are hoping that everybody is enjoying this. It is a very brief about what is emotional intelligence, and I think it is a time for using this emotion to face what we are, what's happening now in the earth. So we will be happy to have answer any questions. So if you have any question, please send it in the chat so that we can answer it.
Any questions?
Till now, Doctor, we don't receive any question. Thank you a lot for this informative topic. This from Mr. Abdullah Al-Nahdi.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Mr. Abdullah.
Thank you, Abdullah.
Okay, usually thank you so much for being with me, and hopefully you got something today. Thanks a lot, and hope to see you in another webinar sooner. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Said, and thank you all for your attendance, and waiting, inshallah, for seeing you again in another courses and another webinars. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
We're going to end the meeting now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.